Hello there, Ray here, and I'm joined by I'm a Chicken as well as Xrada. And today we'd like to show you guys a way to erase NBT tags from items in survival. This allows you to be able to get glitched out items which you normally cannot get in survival. This glitch first came into existence around 1.9, where you can insert a tipped arrow into an enchanting table, and if you had just one, it doesn't do anything, but if you had over two of them, and so it's something that's stackable, and then if you would shift click it in, it would make it so that the arrow that is placed inside would lose its NBT tag and would come out with no NBT, which would come out these very strange looking arrows. And then I'm a Chicken showed me that it's possible for us to also use the fireworks that we get from 1.11 beyond. So essentially they change it so fireworks will have duration shown. And here you can see we got duration of 2. And she showed me that you can shift click these also inside enchanting tables. And this will remove the NBT data. This will allow you to get the old type of fireworks, similar to that we got in Protec, which are considered discontinued. But now you can get them using this trick. Then Xrota, I'm a Chicken, as well as myself, completed a whole list of all the different types of items you can apply this to, and these are all considered a rare type of glitched item. In most cases, when you remove the NBT tag of something, it goes back down to the default. But in some cases, that default item is pretty unique. So we got a list here. Let's go through some of them. So it's possible to get stacked pumpkins, and you can enchant pumpkins as well with the curses. So you can either curse of vanishing or curse of binding. And then when you have these type of cursed items, you can place them inside a crafting table. Now this can be done without needing to have any type of glitch to get stacked items. Pumpkins are just this way. And you can essentially remove the curse vanishing or curse of binding enchantment from the pumpkin. Now normally you cannot do this except if you would upgrade all the way up to 1.14 and use the grindstone. So if somebody's trying to troll you with some pumpkins, you can always grab their stash and go ahead and remove all the enchantments from it. Next on our list is the firework stars, and these are pretty cool because there's a lot of variation of them. But the one variation that they don't allow you to get in survival is the default variation. So if we go over here, if we have more than one, and then we shift click them into enchanting table, we will get the default one. This is just called a firework, and there's no NBTs on it. And essentially this removes all the coloring from it. And normally the way you would make these is by using a color dye as well as gunpowder. And essentially this is just a gunpowder then because it has no color. I really like these firework stars because they look unique as well. If you go ahead and craft them into a firework like you normally would, you'll end up coming with a firework rocket, which is very similar to that if you don't use any of the firework stars at all. So here I got one with stars and one without. Even though they look exactly the same and they both say one NBT tag, because one uses a star and one doesn't, they don't stack. Now if you use a star that has a coloring, it would come down in its labeling and tell you that it has something special. This is a little bit different than the ones that have coloring in them, since if you would craft up those, in the labeling here, they'll show you that they have a different type of coloring. This trick also can be done with banners. As you add layers onto the banners, they accumulate NBT tags. So you normally would come with a green one, and then you'd add a blue base onto this one. And then if we would stick this inside of enchanting table, we need to have more than one. And once you shift click it in, you removed all of the layers it has. This is very similar to that of using the banners on a cauldron, which allow you to wash them. But when you do use a banner on a cauldron, it will use some of the water up, and where if you use it on enchanting table, it doesn't cost you any water. Their one's a real favorite among everyone because you get a uncraftable arrow, which is not one you normally can get in survival. And these type of arrows pretty much act like a normal arrow. They don't have any special effects, unlike their counterparts which had special effects. Next up is the fireworks. It don't matter if you have duration 3, 2, or 1. They'll get converted back to the rockets, which are their default. These are similar to the ones that you can get in the creative menu, but you normally couldn't get them in survival. This also can be done to written books, as these are stackable as well as contain NBT tags. So you can take these up, and here I got a book with some text in it. And once you go ahead and you shift click one of them into the crafting table, it looks very normal, but there is a considerable difference. As you see, it does have no NBT tag, so it lost anything that you added to it. But when you open this up, you can see all it says at the very top is in red text, invalid book tag. And there's nothing else you can do with this book. There's no pages other than the first page here. This is pretty strange. I've had this occur to me in snapshots before, but never in a full release. So this is a real treat to be able to get this item in survival. Now, items that are renamed will also get NBT tags. So we look at this paper here, it's just a normal piece of paper that's been renamed. And essentially you could remove that. So if we have more than one, we can shift click them into here, and you can see it removed its tag. So now it's just like a normal piece of paper. So if anybody gives you some items that are kind of renamed, maybe they're trolling you with some items, somebody actually did that on the project server, I can now take my items and actually get them back, which should be really nice. So this next one here can only be done in creative, and these are spawn eggs. The spawn eggs that they have in the game are all with different types of NBT tags. Essentially, they're the same item, but different NBT. So if you would have one of these, you can take them into Enchanting Table, and maybe some servers you actually do have spawn eggs, but you can shift click them in and you'll get a default one, which is one that doesn't normally show up inside of a creative menu. And these spawn eggs don't summon in anything. These are some of the ones that you're able to use to give them abilities to summon in different stuff if you want to in creative. The next one on our list here is the glass bottles that we collected in prior version. So in past versions, you could actually take glass bottles and brew them into a brewing stand and get glass bottles that essentially the game thought were supposed to be a potion, but they were just glass bottles. They really didn't have any use in survival other than the collecting. And we collected a bunch of these up on Protect server, but you can actually take these to the enchanting table since they do have NBT tags. They are also stackable, and you can remove them. And essentially what you're going to end up with when you stick these guys in, you're just going to end up with a normal glass bottle when it comes out the other end. These last 5 that we have on the end here can be done in survival, but only if you had version 1.12 in your world. We went ahead and you collected up unstackable items in stacks. This is what we did on Protect. We collected a whole bunch of types of items that normally can't be stacked up, but using a glitch, we're able to stack them. So this consists of different types of potions. So we got the throwable potions, we got the normal drinkable ones, as well as the linger ones. And what you can do with these, pretty much, if they're stackable, you can click them into the crafting table, and you'll come up with their uncraftable counterparts. So this potion is called a Splash Uncraftable Potions, and these don't even show up in the creative menu, but they come with 3 different variations. Now you can also do this with any type of enchantments. So anything with enchantments that's also stackable, you can stick it in there, and essentially what you're going to end up with is just a boring sword without enchantment. So that one's not so useful, but these are pretty cool because these are similar to like the uncraftable arrows, and they're going to be a lot of fun to collect them up on the Protect server. Now last one here is enchanting books. If you have a normal enchanting book, it has the word enchanted book at the top as well as NBT tag telling you what type of enchantment's on it. But after you stick it into the crafting table there, you're going to end up with an enchanting book that has none of these NBT tags. Essentially, it's going to be an enchanting book that doesn't even have the golden text for the name, and you're missing all the information with enchantments. So it's pretty much just a glitched out book. Now, 1.13 maps are also given NBT tags, so we'll take a look at those in our 1.13 creative world. Now, 1.13 they added so that you could click on banners with maps. This will allow you to get different types of markers, similar to this yellow one I got on this map. And with this change, they also introduced it so that the maps will now have an NBT tag. So if we go ahead and we look at, let's just open up a new map. This new map here, at the very bottom, it says NBT tag of 1. And you can go ahead and you can get stacks of maps. So if we would take these into a enchanting table and we would shift click one of these in there, you'll see that we'll come up with a map that doesn't have an NBT tag. Also notice that the original one had an ID of 38, and this one only has an ID number of 0. Now if we take a look at what type of map came out of it, you notice this map is different than the original map, which is this one right here. So they turn out to be a different map. Obviously with the ID 0, it's looking at a different place on the server, and we actually figure out where it's looking at. So this is location where the map is currently looking at right here on our test server. But this isn't the actual map that is for this area. So if we would pull up a map for this area, if I just click on this map, this is essentially what the map should look like of this area. And notice the difference between this one and this one. This one's obviously up to date. You can see this big, huge chunk of diamond blocks here. And this one seems to be kind of old, maybe completely outdated. So we did a bunch of testing with the maps to see what was going on with them. And it turns out the very first map that is in the game is essentially giving this ID of 0. And as long as you only have one map in the game, it will always be able to update, similar to the way that this map has. But once you make another map in the game, then the very original map, which is this map 0, will essentially be stuck in this state. And if you change anything around the location, it will never update. Notice also the player marker is in the top left-hand corner. And if you look at this one, you can see that this map is staying up to date. It's even moving my player around. A similar thing also applies to ocean monument maps or woodland mansions. It will act very similar to that of the other maps, meaning if you have 2 of these maps in the world, the first one will lock up. But the difference is with these type of maps, you have to actually load the area. So you have to go to that location with the map before it will lock the first map. And these first maps cannot be altered afterwards. So they're kind of a cool thing to have in your server, maybe to showcase some area that's never changed. It was a lot of fun working with Chicken as well as Extra Reddit to go ahead and come up with this list. And we will provide a world download down in the description. And I'm going to really have a lot of fun going ahead and acquiring all these things for the project server and add them to the museum. Thanks for Chicken as well as Extra Reddit for helping me with this video. As well, if you guys would like to see more videos like this, be sure to go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell button. And if you found this video interesting, I really appreciate if you guys would show it with a like. And if you guys have any questions about this, be sure to ask us down in the comments. And if you guys can think of any other types of items that we should test, tell us there as well. Bye-bye!